The lights dim. The tone is dark, gritty, yet alive with energy. The speaker's voice is calm, but charged with an electric tension that pulls the audience in. They thought they were invincible, didn't they? The ones who betrayed you, the ones who looked down on you, thought they had it all figured out, didn't they? Pushed you aside like you were nothing, dismissed you as weak. But look at them now. Look at them. They had their moment, didn't they? Their time to shine, to walk all over you and watch you crawl. They laughed in your face, thinking they were on top of the world. But guess what? That world, it just crumbled beneath their feet. The truth is simple. My friend, arrogance always leads to a fall, and they fell hard. But that's not the real story, is it? No, the real story is you. They told you that you weren't good enough. They made you feel small, weak, made you believe that you couldn't stand on your own 2 feet, didn't they? They took from you your trust, your loyalty. You gave them everything, your heart, your soul, your time. And when the moment came, when you needed them the most, they were nowhere to be found. They left. They abandoned you. But let me tell you something they never saw coming. You were never the weak one in this story. No, they were. They thought you were weak. They thought you were broken. But what they didn't know, what they never understood, was this. Your strength is in your scars. And those scars, they're the very reason you'll rise higher than they could ever imagine. Look, I've been where you are. I felt the sting of betrayal like a hot knife in my chest. I've been the one they discarded, the one they laughed at. They thought they had it all figured out. They thought they had the power. They thought they were untouchable. And let me tell you something, they messed up. Big time. You see, when they left you behind, when they thought they were walking away from a broken soul, they didn't realize one simple truth. They weren't just leaving you. They were handing you the key to your power. They pushed you down. Yes, they made you feel small. But that's when you started to grow. That's when the real transformation began. They thought they were breaking you, but they were only setting you free. They didn't realize, they never realized that you were always stronger than they could ever comprehend. They just made the mistake of underestimating you, and that was their downfall. Oh, I've been there. I know what it's like to be underestimated, to be dismissed as a joke. The world loves to laugh when you're down. It's funny, isn't it? When you're on the ground, when you've got nothing left, everyone thinks it's over. They think you're done. But here's the thing, they don't get you don't give up. No matter how many times they kick you down, you rise. You get back up, stronger, sharper, and you make them regret every moment they ever thought you were a joke. I've been there. I felt the sting. I've been laughed at, beaten down. But every time they tried to crush me, I came back. And trust me, the day I came back, they weren't laughing anymore. No, that day, I was the one with the last laugh. And when it's your turn, when you rise from the ashes they left you in, when you finally take your place, they'll remember. They'll never forget the one they thought they destroyed. So here's the thing. You think they left you behind? They didn't leave you, my friend. No, they set you free. They thought they could control you, thought they could bend you to their will. But control is a lie. And now you're free. You've got nothing to hold you back. No chains, no lies, just you, and the fire burning inside you. You're not a victim. You're not some helpless fool who just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, you're a survivor. You've been through the storm, and when you rise again, they won't recognize you. They won't be able to see the strength that's been forged in your silence. The time is now. The chains are gone. The power is yours. And when you rise, when you rise, they'll wish they never underestimated. They thought they were better than you, didn't they? Oh, they did. Thought they had it all figured out. Walked around with that smug look on their face, didn't they? Believed their own hype. Convinced they had the world at their feet. But arrogance? Arrogance is their downfall. Oh, it always is. They thought they were untouchable. They thought they could tear you down and still stand tall, didn't they? Like the rules didn't apply to them. Like they could do whatever they wanted, and you'd just be some stepping stone. They thought they had the power to break you, to control you. But they never realized power, real power, is never about control. It's about resilience. It's about the ones who stand tall when the world tries to crush them. You see, they played a dangerous game. They underestimated you. They thought they were in charge. But let me tell you something. Arrogance isn't a weapon. It's a blindfold. And now they're stumbling in the dark. And you've got your eyes wide open. They used you, didn't they? Used you when it was convenient. Took everything they could. Your time, your energy, your loyalty. And when you needed them the most, when you reached out for help, they left. Just like that. Like you meant nothing. Tossed aside like you were a tool, a toy they'd grown bored with. You were there when they needed you, but when the tables turned, when you needed them, they vanished, just like that. But don't think that was a weakness. No, my friend. That was their mistake. They didn't understand the value of loyalty, the power of trust. They took you for granted, assuming you'd always be there. They'll never make that mistake again. Look, I get it. The sting of being cast aside, the feeling of being abandoned by those you gave your all for, it eats at you. It hurts. It feels like a deep wound in your chest, like you'll never be whole again. But here's the truth. That wound, it's not your weakness. It's the fuel for your fire. And when they thought they were breaking you, they were only making you stronger. Stronger than they could ever imagine. Pride. It's a dangerous thing. It clouds your judgment, makes you believe you're untouchable, makes you blind to what's right in front of you. You weren't their mistake. No, they were yours. They were so wrapped up in their own ego, their own sense of superiority, they couldn't see your worth, couldn't see what you brought to the table. But now they do. They thought they had the power to toss you aside and move on. They thought they could leave you in the dust. But now, they're stuck. Trapped in their own arrogance, unable to see the truth. They're blind to the strength you've become. And that's their downfall. You're not the fool they thought you were. You're not the one left behind. They are. And the worst part, they'll never get the chance to change their minds. They'll never get to see the person you've become. They'll never get the privilege of seeing you rise above them. They thought you were invisible, didn't they? Thought you were weak, insignificant. Just a blip on their radar, a nobody. But what they didn't realize, you were never invisible. You were just waiting for your moment. Watching, learning, preparing. They thought they had you figured out, but they didn't see what you were becoming. And now, you've got the power. They've got nothing. Oh, they played their cards wrong, didn't they? Left you in the shadows, assuming you'd stay there. But you've been growing in those shadows, and now the light's shining on you, and they can't even handle it. While they were busy tearing you down, you were sharpening yourself like a blade hidden in plain sight. They thought they broke you, but all they did was make you into something they'll never be able to touch. Now, you're untouchable, and when you rise, they'll be left in the dust. Ah, silence. The greatest weapon you ever had. See, they were too loud, weren't they? Too busy making noise. Too busy puffing themselves up. They thought that because they were shouting the loudest, they were the ones in control. But you were never the one shouting. No, you were the quiet one. The one who kept to the shadows, taking it all in. The one who watched, who observed, who bided their time. And when they tried to ignore you, you let them. You let them because you knew something they didn't. You knew that silence wasn't weak, it was strength. While they were busy filling the air with empty noise, you were learning. You were growing. Every moment of silence, every second you spent out of their sight was a step toward your future. And now that silence is your power. And when you rise, it'll be like a storm they never saw coming. The quiet one. They're the ones who have the real power. You've been waiting for your moment. And now, you're about to show them why they should have never underestimated. Let's talk about humility, shall we? Because I know what they told you. I know what they made you believe. They told you that humility was weakness, that staying quiet was the same as being nothing. They made you think you had to scream to be heard, that you had to shout to be seen. But here's the thing they missed. Humility is power. Not the kind of power they flaunted in your face. Not the kind of power that burns out in a flash. No, the kind of power humility gives you is quiet, unstoppable, and it builds over time. You see, while they were too busy bragging about their empty victory, you were quietly building your strength. They thought they were winning, but they were just digging their own grave with every boast. Their arrogance, it was the weight that dragged them down piece by piece. You were climbing higher, and all because you knew when to hold back, when to be humble, when to let your actions speak louder than words. Humility was never your weakness, it was your secret weapon. And now that you've learned to harness it, they'll never see you coming. Humility, it's not about being small. It's about knowing your worth, even when others don't. It's about knowing that you don't need to scream to be heard, because you've built something so strong, solid, that it speaks for itself. And the moment you stop caring about the noise they make, that's when you start winning. They'll look at you now, and they'll wonder how the quiet one became the storm. The answer? They didn't know what you were made of. But now, you're about to show them you were never meant to be a victim. No, you were always meant to be a force. And now that you've embraced your power, embraced your humility, the world won't know what hit it. You've been underestimated long enough. You've been ignored, discarded, left behind. But you know what? That was their mistake. They thought you'd stay down. They thought you'd crumble under their arrogance. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. Time to show them. Time to rise and claim what's yours. And trust me, you don't need their approval. Never did. They're not the ones who decide your fate. You are. The chains they thought they put on you, cut them. The doubts they tried to bury you with, throw them to the wind. Because from here on out, you're the one in control. Your strength, your power, your future, it's in your hands now. You've got the key. And when you turn that lock, the world won't know what hit it. This isn't a race, it's a climb. Every step you take from now on, it's deliberate, thought out, calculated. You're not here to make hasty moves. No, you're here to make steps that matter, steps that count. Do you know why the people who left you behind are where they are now? Because they burned out too quickly. They shot up like fireworks, shining bright for a second, then gone. They didn't have the patience, the discipline. They didn't know how to climb. But you're built for the long game. You've been climbing in silence, silently sharpening yourself in the shadows while they played their petty games. Now, it's your time. You take one step, then another, each step higher. each move stronger, until you look down and see them, stuck where they thought they'd left you. You're not here to burn out. You're here to build something that lasts, something so unshakable, so unstoppable, that nothing will ever make you fall. It's not about proving them wrong. Oh, sure, they've done their best to destroy your confidence, tear down your worth. But listen to me carefully. The real power, it comes from within. It comes from knowing that you don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need their validation. You don't need to show them that you're better. No, you don't do this for them. You do it for yourself. You do it to prove to yourself that you are better than they could have ever imagined, that you were never the weak one. You were always the one who had the strength to rise, to endure, to outgrow the very people who thought they could control you. Revenge? That's a trap. That's a distraction. You've got something far more powerful to focus on, your own success. And when you reach it, they won't even recognize you. They'll look at you and see nothing of the person they thought they destroyed. They'll see someone unreachable, someone untouchable. And that's when you'll realize you didn't just rise from the ashes, you became the fire. So take your power, take your strength, and don't waste it. Don't let it go to waste on small-time victories. You've got a whole empire to build, and trust me, it's going to be unstoppable. Now get up. The climb starts now. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You're going to rise, and they won't even know what hit them. When you look back, they'll be the ones stuck in the past, watching as you build something they could never even imagine. Get ready, because when you rise, it'll be like nothing they've ever seen before. And you'll be the one who owns it all. And when the dust settles, they'll realize one thing: they were never in control. You were always the one who had the power. They thought they were the ones who held the keys. They thought they had it all figured out, didn't they? The ones who looked down on you, the ones who betrayed you, the ones who thought they had the power to decide your fate. They thought they were the ones in control. But they forgot something crucial, didn't they? They forgot the most important lesson of all: humility doesn't just survive, it conquers. While they were busy inflating their egos, thinking they were untouchable, you were quietly building. You were becoming stronger, more focused, more unstoppable. Now look at you. You're the one with the keys. You're the one holding the power. And trust me, they won't know what hit them when they see you rise. You've gone from being the underestimated one to becoming the very thing they fear. And when you rise, you won't just rise a little. You'll rise above them. You'll stand taller than they ever thought possible. You'll become everything they thought you couldn't. And when you do, they'll finally understand they were never the ones in control. You were always the one in charge. They're going to watch you rise, you know. They're going to see the success, the power, the control that you've gained, and they won't even recognize you. The version of you they thought they knew, gone, disappeared, replaced with someone stronger, someone untouchable. They'll look at you and wonder how did they do it, and they'll be too late. They'll be stuck in their arrogance, forever chasing what they'll never reach. And when they see what you've become, they won't be able to ignore it. They'll see your success, your power, and they'll regret every single moment they ever doubted you. Every time they turned their back, every time they left you behind. They'll realize too late that their arrogance, it was their downfall. They thought they could break you, that they could leave you behind. But in the end, they were the ones who fell. What you've built, it's untouchable. It's not built on arrogance, not built on ego. It's been built on something far stronger, something real, humility. And that's the foundation that no one can tear down. They tried to break you. They tried to make you small, but they didn't know humility is the strongest foundation you can build on. What you've created, it's solid, it's unshakable. The higher you rise, the more they'll realize that they can't touch you anymore. No amount of their arrogance, no amount of their pride can tear down what you've built. It's too strong, it's too real. And every step you take from here, every move you make, only solidifies that foundation. Your empire, it's unbreakable. No one can touch it. And the ones who doubted you, the ones who left you behind, they'll be looking up at you from the rubble of their own arrogance, wishing they had never underestimated you. But by then, it won't matter. You'll be too far ahead, too high up for them to ever reach. You built it from humility, and now, no one can touch it. They thought they could leave you behind, but in the end, they're the ones left in the dust. You're not the person they left behind. No, that version of you, gone, over, finished. They saw you weak. They saw you as nothing. And now, they can't even recognize you. They'll never be able to touch you again, because the person you are now, they can't fathom it. The humility that once made you a target, it's now a weapon. It's turned into an unstoppable force that's been forged in fire. You've grown, you've evolved, and now, they'll never see you coming. You've leveled up, my friend, and there's no going back. Let the past go. Let it burn in the rearview mirror. All those wounds, all those betrayals, they're nothing but fuel now, and that's all they ever were. The future, it's right there waiting for you, but it's not just gonna fall into your lap. No, you've gotta take it. You've gotta step into it, own it, make it yours. Now's the time. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when it's convenient. The world is waiting for you to take control, to show them who you really are. It's all yours. You've earned it. They thought their arrogance would bring them everything, thought it would make them untouchable. But it's your humility that's going to bring you the world. And now they'll be the ones left in the dust.